Hello, welcome to a very special episode of Behind the Needle. I'm your host, Mike Lemieux, and this is my very special guest, Nicole Shaver. She's a senior sales director for Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean at Hydrafacial. And I love a good Hydrafacial. I have gotten so many, I don't even know how many I've gotten. More than most women that I know that I've talked to in this space. I have gotten more Hydrafacials, and I'm not exaggerating. Nicole, what's going on? How are you today?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
If you hear, I don't know if it will because she has her headphones in now, and I think the noise cancellation is on, but if you hear somebody saying, there's a fire in the building, there's a fire, get out immediately. They're testing the fire alarm at her complex right now. And so she is safe. She is okay. We'll try to keep going even if it does go off because it lasted like 5 minutes.
This is symbolic for my life. The memes where they have a fire going on in the background, the person's just sitting there. That's
I,
symbolic
I
for
like
for
I
my
like
life.
that one. I think the one right now is like Barbie just looking super disheveled,
So
saying, and in the background it's like the world right now, and
yeah,
Barbie's like,
she's just
"Do you
like,
want to talk about hydrofacial, or can I tell
yeah,
you about hydrofacial?"
that's me with my fire alarm. Yes.
Yes. So the senior sales director of that region, I mean, they don't just put anyone in there. They put the best of the best in those positions, right? Like, how did you get to that role? Kind of just give us a quick background of how you got there, what you actually do, and let's start there.
Yeah. So I've actually been with Hydrafacial 8.5 years. So I originally years ago started my sales career in Tennessee and wanted to move to Florida. There was an opportunity in Tampa for a capital sales position. So I actually started with the organization in a sales role, selling the capital, which is the device. So you sell that into med spas, plastics, derms, day spas, that sort of thing, and moved and relocated myself here. So after a couple of years of doing that and being successful, having some conversations, I always had a desire to be in management and leadership. I came from a background of spa director, so I'd already kind of had leadership positions in the past. I was offered the opportunity to move to San Francisco and take a promotion as a regional director. So I did do that for a year. And in the time that I was there, the person who was the regional director of Florida was promoted into a VP position. So it was kind of a little jarring. I moved my whole
Yeah.
life to San Francisco and they called me. They're like, if you want to come back to Florida, you can. And of course, this to me is home. So at the end of that year in San Francisco, I moved back to Florida and took the same position. So I was a regional sales director here. And after a couple of years, they established a senior program, which is, to your point, it's based on interviews, it's based on performance, it's based on history. And I was awarded the senior regional director position last year, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I met you in, I think it was January of 25. Was that right after you got this new role or right before?
No, that was in the same window. So it was first quarter of
Okay.
last year they awarded this. Yeah.
Yep, that's awesome. I love working with you, and I've worked with a couple people on your team. I love working with you guys because I feel like you care, and I'm not just saying this. I don't just say anything. I really feel like you care about the accounts that you work with. So what do you do day to day? Because I know the BDMs, which are business development managers, right?
Yes.
And the BDMs are the ones not selling the devices into the accounts. They're kind of like the post-sales support. And what does a BDM do, and how do you work with the BDMs directly?
So the BDM is exactly what you said. It's a business development manager, and they are the ones that are helping kind of drive the business and drive the needle for our accounts. So once the device is sold in, our capital sales managers handle that piece, and they pass the baton off to both our regional training specialists and our BDMs. So the regional training specialist would come in and do a full encompassing install training, get the account up and running, understanding the actual hands-on portion of the service. And then the business development manager will have a business meeting with you and kind of talk about what other services do you offer? how best is Hydrafacial going to fit into your practice? What does this look like on
Wow.
your menu? Let's talk about membership opportunities. Is that something you're interested in? What kind of events do you like to host? Should we plan one? Let's talk about the next 90 days and what that looks like. So we have a full, robust program with the business development for the first year that a customer's with us, so that they are
Yeah,
able to kind of find the most success with the device, but also find continued success beyond that initial install.
that's amazing. I feel like from what I have learned from practice owners is that they're always gun shy to, you know, jump in and buy a new device because the number one question is, how am I going to sell these treatments? And bless their hearts, the sales reps and people at these conferences and seminars make it feel very easy that all you have to do is sell 10 of these treatments a month in your first 1 year of having it, and you'll be able to pay off your machine or whatever they say. But it's when the rubber meets the road, it's not that easy to just sell the treatment. You have to market it. And I wanted to talk a lot today about how both what you guys do on the BDM side and the support side, and what we do on our side with paid ads, because the Hydrafacial offer for me has been the number one successful offer that we have run out of everything that we have done. And by successful, I'm talking the number of leads that end up booking an appointment, the conversion rate percentage, the amount of money brought into the practice from those customers, the amount of people that convert to memberships as new customers from ads. It's and on and on and on. Cost per lead, it's the cheapest. The best ad that we've run is Hydrafacial. This is why I wanted to talk to you because it all goes together, and it's not just you have to run ads in order to get new customers, and that's the way that your business is going to be successful. It is a huge, huge piece of it. It is. And with ads, I believe that your business can actually grow and thrive. But there's so much more to it. And I kind of wanted you to speak to that about the things that you and the other BDMs have seen out in the world that's actually working, because quarter one was a little bit soft for this world of aesthetics. It was. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on right now in the world, but if you have a Hydrafacial and this level of support that you have, it's still possible to bring in new customers because my clients are seeing it. We're still booking a ton of Hydrafacial customers. I didn't even know that it was that soft at first until I started talking to people that I'm not working with, and they're feeling it a little bit. So I want the conversation to kind of go in that direction if we
Yeah.
could. Let's start
Yeah.
off. Let's start off by just any advice or things that you have seen, or kind of how the process works for how you collect this information, and what are you seeing right now that's working, or really just any way you want to take it.
Yeah. No, and I think you nailed it. I think I'm sure you know the term, the lipstick effect. And when the economy starts to take a hit, the lipstick effect is essentially that people still want to feel good. So they go out and they buy a lipstick because, even though they can't afford the vacation that they wanted to take, right now gas prices are going up. People are probably pulling back a little bit on travel just because the expense of all the things that go into travel has now increased. It's
Hmm.
that's that. What do I do to feel good? Because now I'm not going to
Yeah.
take this trip that was going to make me feel good. So a lot of
Yeah.
people start to look for things like Hydrafacial or services that are going to help their overall in their well-being and feeling well. So I
Yeah.
think we hit a lot of things. I think the reason Hydrafacial is successful is wellness is a movement. Everybody wants to do things to be well, whether it's, peptides, internal things, exercise, Pilates, all of these trending things. We are skin health. So Hydrafacial isn't just a facial. It never has. It's always been a clinical treatment. And not only that's why I'm sure you love it. Not only is it going to give you kind of that quick result of your skin looking good and feeling good, it's going to give you a long-term result as well with minimal downtime. And honestly, it's cost effective. It's one of the least expensive services within a practice. So that's why it's a good gateway to get customers in, because they know they're not going to have any pain or downtime. They're going to get a result, and it's the most cost effective thing they can get started with. So I think that's why we still find success. But, to your point, it's a struggle for everybody right now. So I think you have to really lean into the customers you already have coming in the door because
Hmm.
nothing, I know we've talked about this. Like, what do you have to spend? Every patient's worth like 9 times a new patient because you have to do so much to get a new patient in the door versus
Right.
somebody who's already existing. And so you really have to invest in your existing patient base and getting referrals from them and really making sure that their experience is the best experience so that they continue returning. But once you've done that, how do you stretch that out a little bit more with those particular patients, whether it's offering additional services. Hydrafacials may be what got them in the door, but to your point,
Hmm.
how do we get them signed up for a membership? What does your front desk conversation look like once they've come in? Are they carrying the baton from the person who brought them from the back of the house to the front? Hey, would you like to buy these products today? Would you like to get this retail? Would you like to sign up for our membership? And kind of carrying everything through so that they feel like a part of your business. I mean, I'm a super consumer myself, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a business and it's just very transactional. Everything is just about, I hope you've enjoyed your service today. Have a good one. We'll see you later. But if they made some recommendations based on what they're seeing, I look at them as the expert. If you're telling me I need to take some skincare home, I'm going to, at least consider it because you're the one that I'm coming to give me a treatment.
The transactional piece of it, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a store or the grocery store specifically too, and I can't find everything I'm looking for. And they say, "Did you find everything you're looking for?" Out of habit. And I know
Mm-hmm.
it's out of habit because I say, "No, I didn't." Sometimes they don't even reply. And I'm
Yeah.
always honest. I'm always honest. I'm going to say if I did find everything I was looking for or not. Some of them will say, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that." Some of them will then say, "Oh, what were you looking for? Is there something I can help find?" And then there's one step further where they actually do something about it and they send someone else while they're ringing up my items to go get it. Like that's what you have to do. You have to be at that level of service today. So maybe this is a good first point. First thing you have to do is ask them if there's anything else that they needed that day and get it for them.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is really just achievable by taking over the conversation and owning it and being the experts and saying, this is what you need. The baton handoff from the provider to the front desk, if that's where you have it when they're checking out, should be the provider should have given an incredible consultation. They should know exactly what they need. If there's a way for them prior to walking them out there for the provider to like message the front desk so that they have ready the products, or they're looking at the schedule for their next hydrofacial so that they can pre-book them for the future appointment, like that's an actual baton handoff.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just throwing it. And it's like, okay, well, thank you so much for coming in. Have a good day. People are going in, and if they're going in to get a hydrofacial, any treatment, but especially a hydrofacial too, and it's their first experience, and they're looking at the provider, they want to look like that provider. They want to look better. They want to feel better. They're there to spend money. So assume that they're there to spend money, get their trust, and then sell them more because you had a thorough, friendly, helpful consultation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. And I think even before they've even stepped foot in your business, and part of why we wanted to partner with you is what does that engagement look like when they're booking? How difficult was it for them to even get on your books? What was the phone interaction with the person at the desk? People have already decided a lot of things before they've A, stepped foot in your business, and B, before they've had a service. So let's say, the booking process was easy. Now they're in your business. A lot of the times they've decided if they're coming back before they've even had the treatment done. So there
Wow.
are so many things that kind of are their A to Z experience that they're having is really important. And that's why we reached out to you about, I know you with the meta ads assist in that booking process because there's
Yep.
actually some really remarkable, and I'm sure you have them, but timing of the response. If you respond in under a minute, it's like 300x times more likely to get that patient booked than if you wait 24 hours.
And
Every
that's,
minute, every
yep.
hour, the booking time goes down.
It's true. You have to be ready when the customer is ready.
Hmm.
They might fill out a form to become a lead and say, I'm interested in this treatment. And it might be when they're in the school pickup line, when they're on lunch, when they're scrolling at night, when they first wake up in the morning. We don't know, right? But they might not be able to answer a phone call right after that. They might not be ready to text you back, but they
Right.
might be ready at 8 o'clock at night. Well, what happens at 8 o'clock at night? Your whole staff is home.
Yeah.
No med spa is open at 8 o'clock. Maybe there's some, but nobody's open at 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever. If you are ready to communicate with a lead when they're ready to communicate within 60 seconds, within seconds of them responding, you're right. Your percentage chance goes up so significantly in order to get them booked. I this is really helpful. I want to ask you and really say, like, can you think in your head what the best process has been that you have personally seen of somebody that really takes initiative before they're in there for the treatment? Because you mentioned it really starts, like the process starts, and people know if they want to book again, oftentimes before they've even gotten the treatment because of how that first process is. Can you kind of walk us through what you have seen? You've seen hundreds of practices.
Yeah.
What have you seen works the best in terms of a flow? Like, really give us this flow if you can, because I want people to kind of cross-reference their own workflow and maybe they can make some changes to see some immediate improvements.
I mean, I think you have to make it from the start easy for them to book. Whether for me personally, it's an online booking experience because I want to sit down with my calendar. I want to cross-reference and look and see when I'm available. So I appreciate when I'm able to book something through an online experience, as opposed to calling. But whichever way you have it set up, it has to be easy. And you can't
Yeah.
create too many obstacles in terms of even the person on the phone. You want to gather some information when they call. You want to ask for their name so that you can address them and say, like, hey, Mike, how's your day going? I'm happy to assist you. What are you looking for? And just be very professional and polished, but also not so verbose that the person's like, I gotta go. I'm just calling to make an appointment. But I think for me, it's always, I like the online booking experience. I like everything to be very clear in terms of what to expect when I'm doing the online booking experience. If they have any documents, it's always a little bit of it's a funny thing. I hate doing the documents ahead of time, but it does make
Mm,
your life so much easier if they go ahead and
does.
send you kind of, hey, this is what we're expecting. If you come 15 minutes early, that's fine. You can fill it out. But the more clear they are with that process, the better. And then once you step foot, I mean, it's the things that you think about but you don't think about because you're in your business every day. It's the cleanliness of
Hmm.
the location. It's the clutter. Is there a ton of, things that are distracting and sitting around? A lot of our locations like to offer sparkling or bottled water or refreshment when the person sits down, and that just makes it feel more high level. It takes it, a small little refrigerator with some drinks in it really elevates the experience for the customer. And so that's going to give them that warm and fuzzy, like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take a sparkling water, sure. Because
Hmm.
everybody wants to be pampered. They're coming to spend a lot of money with you. And then it's, oh, welcome. This person will be with you in just a few minutes. Is there anything that you need? The bathrooms are down here, just giving that very concierge style experience. One of the books that I like, there's a Ritz-Carlton book that talks about the experience of giving somebody. Think about those times you've been at a Ritz-Carlton. Everyone knows your name. They message you. You get a text message that follows up after you check into your room. Like, is there anything that you need? We'd love to be of assistance to you. But those things aside, when you come, you're sitting, you're waiting for your provider. They come and get you from the front. They walk back with you. They're engaging with you. Like, it's good to see you today, and they bring you back to the back. Again, cleanliness is important. You'd be amazed at how
Yeah.
many places I walk through and I'm like, oh, wow, this is you know, they're not seeing because they have everyday goggles on, the small things
Mm.
that, you might notice where a customer might be like, oh, this is a really crowded space. They've got a lot of, sometimes it's technology or things that are kind of acting as barriers for them to get from point A to point B. And then when they get into the treatment room, like you mentioned, the consultation, really talking through the, needs of the patient instead of just expecting that they just came in for a signature hydrofacial. I'm going to get them on the bed. I'm going to, slam the signature hydrofacial out, and then I'm going to take them back out or send them back out. You're talking through their skin, what their experience has been. And then that's at the point, they bond with you as a provider and they'll return to you. But all of the other things leading up to that, you really need to be kind of thinking through a hospitality style experience.
I love that. Let's recap so far what you've said because there are so many things in there. That was amazing. You actually might want to rewind and start taking notes if you're not driving and you can do this. Taking off your daily goggles.
Mhm.
I used to work at a grocery store before I started doing marketing, and I would have to switch into manager mode when I would walk in there and do exactly what you're saying. But I was trained and taught how to do this. I had to look at every inch of the floor, my merchandising stands, my in stocks, the quality of the meat department, the produce, everything. You have to put on a different set of lenses when you walk into your store and do exactly what you're saying so that you know if your customer is getting the experience that you would want. I've been into some really, really beautiful practices. I feel like the plastic surgery offices all they get it. And I don't know why. I feel like maybe because they like hire incredible designers. The really nice med spas also really get it. There is no clutter at the front. There are no
Mhm.
stanchions. There's not a lot of little mini stanchions sitting on the counter trying to sell people stuff. I feel like the only, and this is my preference. I'm just giving suggestions. But when you think about it, the customer has the ability to focus on one, maybe two things at a time. What do you want them focused on? Do you want them focused on a stanchion for something else that you offer with no pricing, with no before and afters, with no real understanding of if they're an ideal candidate for it or not? Or do you want them to make a human to human connection of somebody who's offering a beverage or a snack of some kind, or just talking to them and making them feel welcome? Like what do you want their attention focused on? Do you want them focused on their phone while they're sitting there?
Right.
Think about every moment that they're walking up to it to when they're in there and when they're gone and then even after. So let's leave that there. Let's move on to the next point of when they're getting the treatment and let's specifically talk about Hydrafacial. Whatever you want to say, whether this is how you start the Hydrafacial and remember we're talking about selling more boosters. We're talking about pre-booking them for more hydrofacials. We're talking about adding in a dermaplane and adding on LED. But is there a flow that you've seen work the best? What do we do here at this point?
Yeah. So, depending on what they've booked, and this is where the business development managers are super helpful because they know
Okay.
the business model of each practice, whether it's that maybe it's somebody coming in for their membership hydrofacial, but you have the opportunity to upgrade them. Or maybe they booked a signature hydrofacial and they don't know any better. It's their first treatment. So there's a few things that play into this. Does the provider allow time for upgrades or the practice even? Are they building in an extra 15 minutes or so where they know I can add a booster to this, I can add some LED therapy, and we're still in the safe zone for me to finish this patient and move on to the next patient. So they have to have some things taken into consideration going into that. But I think that's when you're talking about like, well, what brought you in today? Are we doing a feel good treatment? Or are we doing something because you have a clinical concern? And that's where they can
Hmm.
upgrade them. We have boosters for every skin concern. And that's when we really take it up to that next level of a true treatment. We've got some new proprietary boosters that we've created that can give hydration, anti-aging benefits. We've got the clinical studies to back them. And so they can share that information and say, like, for an X amount upgrade today, would you like to upgrade this to this since you've shared with me that your concern is dehydration after traveling or what that looks like? And I think,
Boom.
at the end of the
That
day, they're there for something, right?
yeah, they're
So
there.
you can upgrade them with that booster, you can upgrade them with whatever that service looks like. And what I would share with them the cost. I do think that that's important. I don't think you want somebody to walk out and be stunned by like, oh, well, this was a, 50 or $75 upgrade. But I think a lot of the time, if you explain to them why it's going to benefit them, it's more palatable than them booking it. if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's so much easier, in my opinion. This might be a hot take for the Hydrafacial BDMs. I think it's easier to book a signature facial first because the price is lower, and then discussing during the consultation the boosters that are available and effectively upgrading it to a deluxe or a platinum. I really think that's the best way to do it for the first one because people don't know what a deluxe is. They don't know what a platinum is. They don't.
Yeah.
And they know what a hydrofacial is to a degree because they see that disgusting gunky jar that all the estheticians float around and it makes me want to barf. They see that, they see the results after, but they don't really know what it took to get there. They don't
Yes.
know if there were extra boosters or a dermaplane or what. So getting them in for a signature is a great idea on the first visit and then explaining them through the consultation too. I love that. You
Yeah.
mentioned you mentioned memberships in a capacity of if they're coming in for a membership hydrofacial. I want to talk about memberships, but I also before we do and like how can your hydrofacial be kind of woven into a membership in order to make it sellable, right? The membership. I want to talk really quickly though first about my thoughts on when we assume if other people have the budget for a treatment or not. And
Yeah.
you may want to also talk about this. And I know that there's going to be different types of people listening. There's going to be providers and owners listening, and I think that there's going to also be hydrofacial BDMs and other people in the industry. And so I kind of want to talk about it from two lenses, just really quick. I think that specifically my experience is around when a customer comes in from a paid ad. I think that there's a stigma there in most, many people, providers, that this person came in off of an ad.
Hmm.
Generally, it was a discounted service to get them in the door and to entice them to do that. They don't have money for a booster to add on a dermaplane, LED for my membership. They don't have that money because they came in off of this special offer price and that's all they're going to get.
Right.
That couldn't be further from the truth. There's several facts here. You have no idea how much money this person has in their bank account. You have no idea their credit card limits. You have no idea how much they have struggled with their skin texture, the laxity, the spotting, like the flakiness, the dehydration. You have no idea. You have no idea at first. You don't know how badly someone wants something until you actually ask the questions and know. If somebody wants something badly enough, they're going to figure out a way to get it.
Hmm.
So no matter if this person was a referral, and this is just true, and I know that it's true because I track the revenue that's come in with my clients from the appointments. Like I know
Hmm.
how much is coming in. People will spend thousands of dollars from coming in off of a hydrofacial that costs less than $200.
Yeah.
And they'll spend it on the first appointment sometimes
Yeah.
too. But the lifetime value of the customer is huge. All this to say, if you're a provider, never, and your teams, never assume anyone's budget. Assume that if you know what they're looking for and you know their struggles and why they're there, that they can afford everything that you're telling them because it's likely that they're going to try to pay for it and be able to afford it. For all the BDMs, blast this message to everyone as much as you possibly can. And it can change. The behavior can change for the providers. It just has to be talked about. And and we have to educate all the providers. Some providers might be people who are brand new, fresh in the industry and have had to work for literally every single thing that they have. And you know, $1,000 to them might feel like $100,000 to you. Like it might be just an insane amount of money to them for someone to spend $1,000, but they have to put that away and they have to put on a different set of lenses, just like you do as the owner when you walk into your place. and you have to sell them these treatments because this is what's actually going to get them the results that they want. I wanted to put that in there because it is the number one problem that I see med spas or day spa, anybody with a hydrofacial dealing with is this stigma that a paid booking isn't as valuable as someone else. And in some ways, it's more valuable. Is there anything you wanted to add to that point?
I think that selling is always solving a problem, and you already have half the problem solved when they booked the appointment. Why are they coming in? They want something done with their skin. So 50% is already there. You know that they've either, whether it's an acne concern, an aging concern, dehydration, there's something they are concerned with. And so, exactly to your point, once you can uncover that and have the right conversation with them, then
Yeah.
if you could say, I actually have the tools to solve the bigger problem that you have. And let's talk about, a chemical peel, a CO2 laser, these are the things that are actually going to get the full result that you're looking for, and there's different ways to present that to the customer. And there's more palatable ways for their, budgets that you can present as well. There's a lot of new financing options that people have as well. So I think, like you said, if they
Hmm.
are already in your door, then or half the battle's there. We know that they have something that they want from you. It's a matter of how the experience that you give them, how you present the, process of what you can do for them, and just be knowledgeable in your background. Know what you're talking about with skin, because once they trust you, then you're going to be their provider and you're going to be the person that they continue coming back to.
Yes. You've given me a thought, and I want to talk about how do you get in a customer without discounting the service? I want to talk about that, and I want to ask your opinion, but I want to close the loop thought that I had about memberships. I think that memberships are all about girl math. I think girl math is real. You,
It
you
definitely
can
is.
pretend, you can be funny and say, let me pull out my girl math
Yeah.
calculator and start like, it's all about framing how the membership works. You have to believe that it's a value also. If you give away a free hydrofacial on your birthday every year or after you've been a member for 12 months, like you get that or something, that can be how you tie it in. Is there anything you want to add to the membership talk before I ask you that question of how do you get more customers without, because you had some really good ideas before we hit record. You had some good ideas about the work you have to work. I want
Yeah.
them to hear that. Is there anything you want to mention though more about memberships?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've always leaned into memberships because you want exactly what we've talked, recurring value, right? Keeping the customer coming back to you, but you also have to make them more flexible. I think that's what we're seeing in the marketplace now. It can't be a rigid, you have to spend $200 every month or 199 every month, and it's you have to use it that month or you lose it. Like, you have to make it more fluid. We have to give them options.
Yeah,
Some people are leaning into more of a points program now so that they retain the points and that brings the customer back because they have points to spend next time. Some people are leaning into a lighter, like low cost membership, but you've got the value of like, here's a percent discount on all of your services. Here's a percent discount on the I'm sorry, the retail product. And then that total number spend goes towards like, your hydrofacial for the year. So there are a lot of flexible memberships that are not just that rigorous, like 199 every month and that's it. So you have to be
yeah.
more flexible and find what works for your demographic.
I've also seen a lot of people moving away from contract durations, like
Right.
12 months, not anymore.
Yeah. People
Six
aren't
months,
locking in anymore. They're giving them, hey,
no.
you have to give us 60 or 30 days notice. But yeah, people are not locking people into memberships
30 days
anymore.
notice is fine. You basically have a 1 month commitment, but
Yeah.
also that's what people want. They don't want to feel locked in. Do you know how much can change in a year for
Yeah.
someone? What if they move?
Yeah.
What if so many other things. So that's good, helpful information. Talk to me about how do we get new customers in? The best way that you can grow your business is through word of mouth and referrals. It's the best
Yeah.
way. There's no better way because it's all free. It just you have 100 different people who are your little sales armies, or you're part of your sales army, and they're just going and doing all this stuff because your services are so amazing and the sparkling water is from Italy and it's delicious and blah blah blah. There's no sugar. It's all this stuff, right? But referrals alone don't grow a business generally to where people want it to be because it's just so hard, right?
Right.
So what can people do other than, because what we do works with the paid side
Yeah,
so well. And we're the ones, I haven't said this yet, we're the ones communicating with the leads for the practice. We're
right.
trained, we know everything, we're communicating with them in seconds, no matter the time of day or night, and we are the ones doing that. We're booking them for you in your EMR. Like we've got that unlocked. But what are the other things other than discounting a service that you can do to get new customers in?
Yeah. I think, one of the things that we see is that people have this very, if you build it, they will come mentality, and they think, just having the business there, and, maybe they had some business because they worked somewhere else before. You really have, not necessarily everyone's going to follow you. Maybe geographically it's not convenient for them the way it was before. You really have
Mhm.
to do the work. At the end of the day, whether it's networking with the Pilates that's down the street, one of the things that we see in my local market a lot is there's, run club, there's like 87 different run clubs, and they all have a place that they start or they finish. You can be that place that they start or they finish, and you can advertise that way and provide some refreshments to them, give them a place to, do their walk or do their, start or finish piece of it. There's mom clubs. There's, so many different hairdressers that you can network with, because we have, for example, with Hydrafacial Caravive, there are so many things that you can be doing to network yourself that's also going to build your social media following. So you can advertise, within your own social media as much as you want, but if you only have 30 followers, only 30 people are seeing it. So that's where using your meta ads and then tying that into getting more followers by doing things like these Pilates events or, social club events, different stuff like that is going to just help with the overall health of their business and their following.
That is amazing.
It's crazy how many of these clubs are out here now. There's so many different I mean, health clubs do them too. Like everyone is now, the amount of events, and tell me if you're seeing this in your market too, like the amount of events that I'm
I
seeing
see
that
it.
these, like, one of our local car places hosted a Pilates event the other day within the car, like put out mats in the dealership. Like it's stuff like that where they're just trying to cross pollinate businesses, because like minds, right? Wellness brands, Pilates, health, all of it goes together.
I want to get a little bit detailed in a couple minutes and talk about what are what you were saying, the run club. You either start there or end there. I personally think that if I was going to choose, I would want people to end
Hmm.
depending on how long the run was.
Yeah.
If it was like a couple of miles, let's all end there. If it was a starting point, like, am I having food, drinks? Like, is there a demo happening? Can I do all those things, or what have you seen? I've seen some of it, but to be honest with you, I've never. I'm also not every med spa, day spa's target demographic,
Yeah.
like their number one choice. So I haven't always paid attention, but I have paid attention to some of this that it's happening. I see it. But what do you think would be the best like itinerary, or what's the plan? Like you did mention some things, but what are we offering here?
Yeah. So I think in essence, you really are starting and finishing in the same place, because you
Okay.
have to kind of end up where you ended up. But when you start, the start piece of it is not as involved. You're signing in, right? Like you're just getting there, you're getting all your stuff, you're
hmm
signing in. It's the
hmm
finish piece where you're having like the local person, as far as the provider would give them drinks or refreshments. If you want to have little sachet bags with something in it, maybe you're giving them a protein bar and, the menu for your business, talking about your business. Maybe you have live demos. We've seen people do hand treatments for different things. If you have the Hydrafacial machine pulled out, maybe, for the first 10 people that register, you're doing perk treatment. Like there's a lot of ways that they can incorporate their own business practices into that. A lot of them are
Love that.
also crossing over with, like, maybe they brought in the local juice bar and they've got the juice bar that's out there. So you've got multiple businesses that are co-branding together. There's mobile bars where people will bring out like bartender if they want to make it more of a setup and have a DJ and just do an event. But that's just getting more
Wow.
people aware of your business. And then the plus side of that too is when they're posting about it, they're at this event, they're posting, they're tagging your business, and that's just giving you more awareness in the marketplace as well.
I think that what we've seen since the pandemic happened is that people really want to be with other people physically, not 24/7, but they do want to have that face-to-face interaction. That's never going to change. People are always going to want to network and be around other people, have experiences. I think that that has been heightened since everything shut down.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is amazing. Should should they do this monthly, quarterly? What do you think?
I mean, I think, you probably are making an investment doing this. So
Yeah.
quarterly, even every 6 months, it's probably a big lift for the practice to do these types of things. But I know all these little marketplaces, for my area, there's a place called Midtown. They have night markets. They'll take out a booth or, just a table, set up a booth, give
Hmm.
information. All of that stuff feels daunting to have to do it, but nothing beats doing the work and just putting yourself out there and getting the exposure. And exactly what you said, you don't know when that one patient that walks in your door is going to be that
Yeah.
$5,000 patient that walks in your door.
Yeah. And it's true. Whatever you're giving attention and input to, you're going to get output there.
Mhm.
For me, so when I was still in college, I was doing real estate appraisal. This is before the grocery business. And I loved appraising real estate, but it just wasn't making me enough money. So I started going door to door trying to sell security. I got into some homes, but I sold nothing and literally zero. And the reason that I didn't is because I didn't know how to cross the finish line. I didn't really have like a good offer to offer these people. I didn't understand how to get them to close. Is there something that you would recommend to these people who are doing these booths, markets, events? How do you get them across the finish line when you're in front of them without feeling salesy, without feeling pushy? Do you try to get them back in for some kind of a free consultation, and that's what your pitch is and what you're talking about, or what's the way that we get them back in?
Yeah, I think there's always just different offers that have to have a timeliness to them. They can't just be an open-ended offer. A lot of people recently I've noticed that do things like B12 shots will offer, like when you bring this coupon in, it's good for a consultation and a B12 shot or something that's very low cost to the practice.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe they only cap it at, 20, the first 20 people will receive a gift card to come in for a B12 shot. Something that's
Hmm.
very low effort, like dermaplaning for us, we know that the blades are fairly and cost effective, so that's why
Yeah.
we added a lot to the hydrofacial service if that's something. But they could even just do a dermaplaning service and then talk about their skin while they're in and say like, hey, I'm looking at your skin, you could really benefit from a hydrofacial and maybe a couple laser services or something to talk through it. But I know it's not, again, it's daunting to think about having to give free services out, and especially depending on kind of how the business is structured, but you have to put some sweat equity in. You just have to when you're starting a business, and that's kind of where it starts.
I love that. Nicole, I think that Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean are lucky to have you, and the BDMs and the accounts are honestly lucky to have all of you on the team. Your knowledge, your experience is incredible. I'm super thankful that you were on today. If anyone wants to reach out to you to join your team or to ask any follow-up questions or to purchase a hydrofacial or anything like that, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I mean, I think this is going to be shared on social media, so they can reach out to me through my social media, the
Cool.
Hydrofacial Beta Bay channel.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm happy. I'm always able to respond to that fairly quickly, under 60 seconds.
That's right. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And good luck on selling all your treatments. Take care of
Thanks
yourself,
for having
everybody.
me.